Hi guys, welcome to the first video of this new series on my channel that is going to be all about the music industry. If you don't know me, my name is Laure, I'm a professional musician and touring artist, and I realized that for most people the music industry is some kind of mystical world with some kind of mystical creatures doing some kind of magic, and I'm here to explain it to you hopefully as best as I can. I decided to divide this first series into 4 topics. The first one, so today, is going to be song creation up to its release. Second one is going to be management and finances. Third one would be everything booking and promotion. And fourth one is going to be live and touring production. I'm not gonna go in extreme details about everything because the videos would really last 4 hours, there's so much to talk about, but I'm gonna do special dedicated deep dive video to talk about certain specific subjects, and you can also please suggest me in the comments something that you would want me to dive into. So just a small caveat, what I'm going to talk about in this video is not a norm. There's so many different ways of doing pretty much everything in the music industry, so I'm gonna give you basically the general basis, but it doesn't mean that it's for everybody like that it's everywhere like that. Don't take my word for basically a definite set in stone principle of working, but rather like a general guidance of how things are usually going. So today's topic is creation, recording and release, and I divided it in 4 subcategories: songwriting, recording, everything regarding protection of the song and copyrights, and logically the 4th one is going to be all about the release. We're gonna take the story of, let's say, Brian. So Brian made it out of the kitchen.
Where is Brian? Brian is in the kitchen.
Sorry, English teachers. And he's been writing songs in his bedroom and writing demos. Songs that are like pretty much finished but haven't been in the hands of anyone else but you most of the times. And he's been posting them on platforms like SoundCloud. He's been showing them to his friends, and suddenly the phone rings and it's a record label and they're interested in planning and financing his first actual recording. So the next month, Brian is so excited, it's finally time to hit the studio. And as he opens the door, he sees so many people. He thought that would just be him and his microphone and his guitar. In fact, when bigger artists that are surrounded by a team of people are recording in the studio, they're often not alone. So you could find a lyricist that would help with writing lyrics, a beat maker that, as the name suggests, helps writing beats, but also pretty much everything that is rather electronic related. There will be session musicians that are hired musicians to record in the studio that will not necessarily perform live, and obviously a producer oversees the whole recording and shapes the first identity of the song and the sound and helps guide where the song is going, and the recording engineer that is behind the console, basically building the magic.
Can you not play for 2 seconds? Bass, please. Fuck.
Now that Brian has met everybody, it's time to start recording. Before recording the actual song, there's been like ideas lying on the table and something called like pre-production that would be finding the musicians, talking about what direction we want to go towards, that kind of thing. For the actual recording, you will have at first tracking, which is when people actually record the tracks. Then you will have the editing of the tracks. So it would be choosing what takes is the best, comping, so putting multiple takes together in one track, basically doing like the rushing. Then you will have the mixing, that is blending all the tracks together, starting to shape the song. And then you will have the final touch, that is the mastering. So it's the polishing of everything. They check for the loudness, for is the song really balanced, that's where we do sound design like the stereo. It's really like the last step before it feels like honey for your ears. And so after that you end up with what's called a master, that is essentially the finished song. Now Brian is so happy, he finally recorded his first song and he wants to release it right now, immediately. He wants the whole world to hear it. But there's this one thing that he needs to consider is protecting his song. It's basically discussing who owns it, who owns the rights, who owns the right of composition, who owns the right of the master. The record label is going to call a publisher or publishing company. You can be part of a publishing company without being part of a record label, but they're usually sub-branches. So the main rules of a publisher are going to be to register the song, and they're going to protect the rights. They're gonna collect royalties for composition mainly. They're gonna care for sync licensing. So that's, for example, when Netflix calls and they're like, hey, we're doing a new series and we want your song for the soundtrack. And they're gonna pay the songwriters. And there are two things that I mentioned, which are composition rights and master rights. And they're very important to distinguish because composition right is basically owning your ideas. And so everybody that went into the studio and put some ideas for the songwriting, most of the times is gonna own some part of the composition right. And the master rights are basically the ownership of the final product. And that, depending on if you're with a record label or an independent artist, or depending on your type of contract with the record deal, you might not own the final product. Most of the times, basically the record label will pay for the recording, but they will want their money back. So they will claim ownership for the master, so for the finished song, and get also the royalties that come from that master. Okay, Brian is relieved, his song is now protected, and it's finally ready to be out in the world. And that's the release phase. It comes in a couple of stages, first one being another type of pre-production, where they're gonna discuss with the record label of the strategy of the release, the marketing campaign, and they're gonna talk to another entity called the distributors. And the distributors, what they do is essentially actually put your music out in the world on streaming platforms, physical copies now more rarely, but they will still do. And they're also gonna care for royalties, but type of royalties that are coming from the master. For example, when you listen to a song on Spotify, it generates royalties to the artist, and the distributor more or less cares for that. Finally, you have the marketing phase. Now that the song is out, you want to push it as much as possible. The record label is going to organize things like showcases, TV appearances, everything press related, and as I will talk about in the next video, touring. So that concludes this video. I hope I was clear enough. As I said, this is such a vast topic, but really let me know if you want me to talk about some subjects more in depth, and I will. Now, if you want to see more of me, you can follow my social medias here and there. I post mainly everything regarding touring and cover videos, and I now wish you a good day, good morning, good night, wherever you are in the world, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!